welcome back to some more Napoleon Total War. So it has been some time, and I am very sorry for that. I just got really busy with life and had a lot of things to do, such as exams and so on. But we are back, and we're going to be on Pyrenees Peak. So this is a 2v2, and Sledge sent me in this replay. He's going to be in command of the Swedish. Now, the rules for this battle were no artillery, max 4 lights. So with that being said, let's get right into his army comp. So starting on the left flank, he's going to be bringing 2 mounted Jaegers. If you guys don't know, mounted Jaegers are able to shoot from horseback. So this is going to allow him to have a loss of firepower as well as mobility. Next to that, we have some lifeguard afoot. Actually, 3 lifeguards afoot. And I believe he's going to keep them here just because there's a strategic point over here. This massive hill is going to serve a great purpose if he does take it. We have some Jaegers in the front lines, and that is it for the left flank. He doesn't have a center just because there's a town here, so we'll be moving on to his far right flank. So for reserves, he has 3 regular line infantry. In front of that, he has also 3 more line infantry, and then in front of that, he's got 3 more Jaegers. He went with Karl the 14th. Let's try to locate where he's at. Here he is, looking very nice with the mustache and the medals. Very classy. And then he's brought some more mounted Jaegers, so in total 4 cav units. Now taking a look at his ally, he's going to be in command of the Spanish, and right from the get-go, you can probably see there's not many units around, and that is because of 2 reasons. So the first off, he's going to be upgrading a lot of his troops, and that's going to drain a lot of his funds, but this means his troops are going to be extremely elite. He's going to have a very elite army. And second off, he has some guerrilla troops up here. And they are hidden, so he's got some Voluntarios as well as some Cazadors here. And they're going to be trying to sneak up on the Russian army. And we also have some Lancers. He actually has a ton of Lancers. Just taking a look at his army. Hussars, Lancers, Lancers, and some more Lancers. So you can see he's going to be hiding a lot of his troops away. And hopefully getting some really nice flanking charges in. But as of now, not looking too good for Sledge's opponent, and that's just because he's extremely isolated from the rest of his troops, or his ally. So taking a look at his army now, going from the left to the right, he's got some Russian Uhlans here, Musketeers as the main line. He's got some Russian Jaegers for the front lines, Lifeguard Foot in reserve, General Staff, and then we got some Grenadiers. Very nice looking unit. Love their top hats. So he's going to be bringing a lot of elite troops as well as quite a bit of Grenadiers, and they're just going to be marching to the objective. So it looks like the Russian player is going to be trying to take the hill as well. Sledge is already on the move, sending up his troops, actually running them into position. But now we're going to take a look at the final player on this map, and that is the United Netherlands. So he's going to be bringing a classic army consisting of 4 carabiners and then 10 line infantry. So very heavy on line infantry, and he's also brought some more Jaegers. So definitely outnumbering the Spanish player, but does not outskill him. So we will see how that turns out for him. Engagement about to begin here. We got the Musketeers pushing up, actually getting shot at by the Cazadors in the forest, using that range advantage to their benefit, and he's actually going to be pulling back, seeing that the Russians are coming full force right now. They're going to get some returning fire, but they are shooting straight into the hill and not killing anyone. We have a cavalry charge now pushing in. Uhlans trying to run into the mix, but they're going to be canceling off the attack just because they have the force, and there are Voluntarios just ready for them, and they are actually hidden as well. So right now, a 2v1 is in the making. You see Sledge sending up his Jaegers. He's actually going to be able to outrange the Russian Jaegers. So the Russian player's got to play this smart, and it looks like he's going to be behind the hill, so really limiting how far you can shoot. Jaegers, though, pushing up full force. These battle lines are starting to be more and more developed. But over here on the far right flank, we got a cavalry charge. It looks like the Spanish player not going to countercharge. Actually, a very late countercharge. But he's going to get a really nice flanking charge into the mix. There they go. And just instantly, like that, dropping a ton of those carabiners. Some more carabiner units being sent in now. Actually, it's going to be a 2v4 right now, so these Lancers are definitely outnumbered, but we will see if their skill can carry them to victory. So right now, absolute bloodbath on both sides, and it really doesn't look like much is happening for reinforcements, at least for the Spanish. He's just not willing to send any troops over, and that can cost him quite a bit. Morale for both factions not looking too great, but it looks like the Carabiners are definitely taking more of a heavy beating. But like I said, he has a lot more troops than the Spanish player. Actually breaking one Carabiner unit. That unit is gone from the battlefield. Still 3v2 right now, and it looks like another one's about to break. So the Spanish Cav not doing a bad job at all. Getting a ton of kills, and you see those long Lancers are just being super effective and just stabbing the enemy cavalry. Taking a look over here though, looks like a very pathetic Cav charge by the Spanish player. Trying to charge downhill, but getting absolutely slaughtered as he does that, and just lost pretty much everyone in that unit. So not a good move at all. Lancers now, or excuse me, Voluntarios, excuse me, out of hiding, and they're going to be engaging these Musketeers. Musketeers taking a heavy beating right now. Flank exposed. Lancers, or Uhlans, excuse me, are going to be sent in. And they're going to be charging up this hill towards the Spanish positions. We'll see how these Voluntarios do last though. It looks like they'll get another volley in before they do form square. And hopefully the Spanish player is paying attention, because as of right now, doesn't look like he's going to be forming square. And here comes the Uhlans. Slow charge uphill. And he will not get the square in, so that's going to hurt his morale significantly. And it looks like the Spanish player was forced to send in another cavalry unit, but I would have to say the Netherlands got the advantage there, actually breaking one of the Lancer units and heavily depleting both the other ones. Over here though, a skirmish engagement is about to begin. Smart move by the Spanish player, turning off fire at will so he does not shoot the hill. Meanwhile, we have the Jaegers here, and they're just shooting straight into the mound. So not a smart move there. Cavalry charge not doing so great. Voluntarios with their heavy chevrons holding the line very, very well. But it looks like the Russian cavalry is going to be breaking through and heading over to another objective. Over here, great charge by the Spanish player, getting those Lancers straight into the Carabiners. And those guys were definitely not prepared. He's going to try and countercharge with some Carabiners, but these guys are exhausted from that earlier combat. And right now, not looking bad for the Spanish. But here comes the Jaegers now. They're going to be reinforcing the lines. But taking a look back over here, Russian cavalry still just getting slaughtered. I mean, look at all these lost cav. So they're going to be reforming their lines. And it looks like the Lancers did break just because of the Jaegers here. They're able to clear a pathway. And right now, these Carabiners are heading straight towards these light infantry. Light infantry, though, shooting the hill. Not a smart move. Netherlands should capitalize and charge in, seeing that they have to reload. But here comes more Lancer units out of hiding. They're going to be pushing up into combat. Over here, though, good flanking force by Sledge. Trying to flank around, but you got the Musketeers, excuse me, Grenadiers flanking from both sides. Here comes some mounted Jaegers, though. They might be able to get their shots off. But right now, they're charging into a square formation. Fantastic volley. And he's going to be retreating, seeing that he has formed square. Over here, another massive Lancer charge coming in. And they're going to pick up a lot of speed on this downhill charge, and they're going straight for those Jaegers. So we will see the impact it has on these guys. And it does not look good whatsoever. Carabiners trying to intercept, but that is not going to work. Getting slashed straight down the center. And pretty much instantly bad morale. Another great charge here into another Jaeger unit. Yet this time, this unit's holding on pretty well. He does have some reserve lines here. But the Spanish Lancers doing a phenomenal job in that charge. But the Jaegers still holding on. Morale still somewhat strong. But taking a look back over here, the battle has subsided. And both lines are going to reform and reload. And there goes the first Jaeger unit, shattered. Those guys are not coming back. And it looks like another one did break over here. They're going to be retreating as well. Shattered with 32 men. So these Lancers doing a great job. There goes another Jaeger unit. Line infantry trying to form up and fire. Just watching their men get slaughtered right now. That is not a good sight to see. And the Lancers are just having a fun time just mowing down these lights and cavalry. And there goes the 4th light infantry unit. So just like that, with just 2 cav units, all these guys are gone from the battlefield. I mean, this is just incredible. 42 men and they are shattered. And these Carabiners have seen better days. Morale is very weak for them too. So with a very successful cav charge, he's going to be retreating with some really high numbers. And here comes another unit. This time Hussars are being charged in. These guys are meant for line infantry, but they will do a just as good of a job charging into the backs of the Carabiners. And a deadly cav charge. So taking a look on the far left flank, we have a cavalry charge by Sledge. But they're going to be countered by some Uhlans. Here comes another Jaeger unit, but actually shooting their own men in the back. But they're going to be reinforcing the lines. Not to mention we got the lifeguards engaging as well. And they're going to be helping out on this flank. So it looks like Sledge is going to be reforming his lines. And he's actually going to get flanked from the side here. But this hill is definitely protecting him. None of these volleys actually landing and hitting their targets. Very interesting move here by the Netherlands. He's going to be flanking very, very far around the map with I believe 3 or 4 line units. So we will see where he's off to. We have a massive cav charge still. And it looks like the Jaegers are charging now into the Russian Jaegers. Sending guys flying. And this is going to allow Sledge to push up his elites and get in range. It looks like the Uhlans are going to try and do a counter charge, but they are just walking across the battlefield, so these lifeguards afoot are going to get some really devastating volleys in. And the morale is getting very bad. It looks like the Grenadiers throwing their grenades in. That is very effective against cavalry. And there goes that Jaeger unit, but he's actually killing his own men right now. But definitely worth it in killing off that cavalry unit. Flanking fire by the lifeguards afoot, or from these cazadors. They have a perfect position on this hill. So it looks like the Russians were trying to flank, but now they're getting flanked by the Spanish. And with this elite cazador unit, these guys are not going to miss those shots. And just with the first volley, downing at least 30 guys, if not more. Over here, though, it looks like a town engagement has begun. Line infantry against lifeguard foot. Seems to be pretty even, but the mounted Jaegers, once again, charging into another position, this time into these lifeguards. And we will see if these guys can form square in time. Getting shot. And there he goes, forming square at the right time. Officer and drummer boy in the center, trying to keep the morale strong. We're taking a look on this hill now. Looks like the elites are really trying to push in. And it seems to be working. We have some Grenadiers marching into position on the far right flank. But for some reason, these rifles are not firing. And that is a huge issue. They're just going to be chilling. Looks like a glitch right now. But another cavalry charge. This time into the lifeguard foot. Lifeguard foot, though, able to form square. Sledge does notice it, but very, very late. And he did get a good shot in with his guys. So they're actually going to be reloading right now. Getting some point-blank shots in. Musketeers doing a pretty good job on depleting. Oh, it's shooting him off his horse. But the action is really starting to pick up now. And seeing that the Netherlands are unable to win it, the melee, or excuse me, the shootout, he's actually going to go into melee. Voluntarios repositioning their lines, seeing that they're starting to get overrun on this flank. Lancers once again added in melee combat, but charging into a square. Not the smartest thing you can be doing. Counter charge by the Voluntarios. These guys are going to be reforming and trying to engage Light infantry also reforming. And they're going to be shooting into the hill, it looks like, once again. So another big mistake by the Spanish player. And look at that. General is dead. Actually, the Netherlands general's dead. So Lancers and Hussars, once again, great job on breaking a lot of these units. And with a dead general, the Netherlands are going to really suffer in morale. And it is definitely showing right now. That line unit's about to break, and so has the line infantry here. Another melee charge, it seems. Actually, no, he's going to be reforming his lines. But these lights, getting some good shots into the sides, and I believe one more volley, and these guys will break. So we will see the devastation they can unfold on this unit. Destroying these lines, but for some reason, these line infantry are just not wanting to break. Oh, spoke a little bit too soon, and there they go with 88 men. So right now, Netherlands not having a fun time attacking this hill. It looks like the Spanish are just holding this town really, really well, having really good defensive positions, and with extreme accuracy, it is working out in their end. Over here on the far left flank, though, both sides are definitely drawing a lot of blood from one another, but it looks like Sledge is starting to win the upper hand just slightly. Lifeguard Foot actually losing this engagement right now, and that's just because the line infantry are in the forest, so they will not lose as many guys. We have some more line infantry actually shooting into the Lifeguard Foot. These guys are in square formation, but they're going to be getting back into line formation. Russian cavalry now charging into the Swedish. Actually, not too sure where they're off to. And here goes another melee charge. These guys are exhausted from the long run across the battlefields, but they're going to try and get into melee combat as quickly as possible. Light's still doing a really good job on depleting these guys, actually shooting them from the back. Voluntarios once again being shifted over to another position, but the Netherlands still very strong in numbers. They have a huge reserve force over here. And it looks like he's trying to rush them over as quickly as possible, seeing that his main lines are starting to get destroyed. These guys in the forest just getting downed left and right as they do retreat from the battlefields. But these light infantry, their chevrons are definitely showing right now. And it looks like the Swedish are starting to break through enemy lines. We got the Grenadiers engaging these lifeguards afoot in the forest, so they do hold the advantage of terrain as well as the altitude. And some more good volleys into the Swedish lines. Now as for the center, it has pretty much completely collapsed. He only has a couple units left, and those units are heavily depleted because they have already routed and have come back. So Russian Jaegers only shooting a couple volleys at a time. And here goes a melee charge. Lifeguards afoot charging into the Grenadiers. Grenadiers, though, getting some really close point-blank volleys. And it looks like they're going to be waiting for this charge. Getting charged into by the lifeguards afoot. We'll see how that attack goes. But now the Russian Jaegers are starting to engage. Taking a look on this flank, though. Voluntario still holding on, but another charge, this time with line infantry, going into the Voluntarios, reforming the lines with his lights. So right now, the Spanish player needs to break this unit, or else he's going to be forced to face a two-front battle, and that is something you never want to do. So he needs to break these guys quickly, or readjust his lines to face a 2v1. So it is basically time will tell who will win this engagement. But as for on this flank, things aren't looking too good for the Netherlands. Once again, more line infantry being sent in, and in heavy numbers still. Very, very healthy. Looks like we have a Russian attack here. Grenadiers leading the way, charging and pushing into the Cazadors. We also have some Russian Jaegers here. They're going to be doing their best to hold so very big offensive in the center by the Russians, seeing that their left flank has pretty much collapsed. But the Russian Grenadiers actually beating back the Lifeguards afoot. You see them retreating from the battlefields. So right now the Russian player does hold superior grounds and does hold the flank. But these Lifeguards afoot with extremely healthy numbers are going to absolutely slaughter these Grenadiers, especially... actually, I don't know. Grenadiers throwing their grenades now. So right now, 124, but bad grenade throw. And only killing 3 guys with that volley. Grenadiers taking a brutal beating right now. Losing a ton of guys, and just like that, they are gone from the battle. In the center, though, Russians not doing a bad job at all, using his elite troops as the flanking force. And this line of infantry is about to break. Only 47 men left. But the center is holding pretty strong right now. Grenadiers, once again, trying to throw their grenades in. But not being super effective right now. As for on this flank, just what I thought would happen. Massive force pushing in. And it is now a 2v1. Both sides of, excuse me, Netherlands. I was about to say the Danish. But anyways, they're going to be reforming their lines. Very thick formations. But the Swedish getting outflanked right now. We have a charge here. Light infantry trying to get their volleys off, but are going to be retreating, seeing that they're getting very, very close to them. In the center, though, Russian offensive did fail. Lost too many guys, and just like that, their center has collapsed. So right now, it is down to their right flank and their far left flank. And here goes the line of infantry reforming. The general overlooking the battle right now. Here comes a melee charge with elite troops. Swedish General Karl the 14th being sent in and just slashing through the Russian elites. As for over here, though, it looks like the Russians are going to be pushing over a bit. And it looks like these Russian Jaegers are going to be giving some suppressing fire to the line of infantry as these guys do retreat. But there goes the death of a general, and I believe, yes, Karl the 14th is dead. He died in an honorable way, but in the end, he did lose his life. So morale for the Swedish is going to start to get very, very bad. And right now, this unit is up against a lot right now. I believe 6 line of infantry units from the Netherlands, and they're going to be getting charged into. Here they go. Swedish lines being reformed. Light infantry in the backs getting ready for this huge push by the Netherlands. Russian lines going to be sent in as well. Uhlans charging into the mix. Getting a good charge in. Unable to form square. These line of infantry are in some trouble, but they do have a lot of numbers here. And more Swedish troops are being sent over. So it is pretty much, excuse me, it is pretty much down to the Netherlands to try and win this battle for the Russians and himself. But things still very even. Balance of power actually somewhat even. But with all these elites still left, it is going to be very hard for the Russians and the Netherlands to try and win this battle. And they do hold the hill advantage. The Spanish general now being sent in. They're going to be charging into the Russians. And they break before they can get into melee combat. Line infantry forming square. But now the Netherlands are in the thick of it right now. Very, very thick formations too. So we will see how they last against these Jaegers. Not to mention this massive amount of troops over here. But looks like they're going to be getting charged into light infantry up against line infantry. Bad morale for the Netherlands though. But it looks like the morale is just going to get to these Netherlands. They have just lost so much morale due to that dead general. But they're going to be holding on, trying their best to at least kill as many Spanish and Swedish troops. They do hold the forest. So things are still not over yet, but morale getting very, very bad. It looks like out of desperation, he's going to be charging in to the Swedish lines. There they go. And unable to even make it to the front lines. Here goes another line of infantry unit. Looks like the Spanish lights are prepared for this massive charge. And they are charging through some of the Swedish Jaegers. But for the most part, they did get out of there. Good volleys by the line of infantry. It's pretty much who can send in more troops will win this battle. And morale playing a huge factor. 100 men routing, and here goes another line of infantry unit. Trying to charge in, but will face the similar fate. Here goes the Spanish general back in again. He's actually charging into his own men, so not a good move there. But over here on the left flank, looks like the Netherlands not doing a bad job at all. Still have 3 units. But as for the right flank, it is completely gone. He does have a couple of reserve units left. So right now, 5 units left for the enemies. And it's kind of funny how they kind of switch sides on the battlefield. Guess those reserves just showed up too late and got behind the enemy. But great job there by the Netherlands, breaking that Swedish line unit. And they're going to be able to reform and hopefully try to draw some more blood. But here goes the Swedish reforming their lines, getting their Jaegers into position right now. And same with the Spanish. The Spanish are going to be sent in, and they didn't do a bad job at all. I mean, they don't have many troops left, but the troops that they do have left still have some fairly good numbers. But now Sledge being forced to face the final engagement. I'm not too sure what these guys are thinking right now. It looks like they're going to be retreating back off the hill. We have some more lines being, sent back into the battle. And that is very good for the enemy forces. There is still some hope left. And the battle is much closer than I thought it was. Might actually seem like the enemy forces actually have a couple more units than the friendly ones. But I'm going to fast forward for now. Looks like a stalemate, or at least troops just reforming and repositioning. But big push here in the town. Looks like the line of infantry going to be forming squares, seeing that a charge is in the progress. This line unit getting a brutal beating by these light infantry and unable to make it any further. Just like that, down to 63 men. There goes another charge. Swedish, though, point-blank volleys. That's going to hurt the morale of the Netherlands, which are already depleted. So with that melee combat going on, it's going to allow him time to retreat the final 3 units. But with no range advantage, pretty much outnumbered at this point. And, not looking good in terms of terrain. Things are pretty obvious of who's going to win this battle. But it is going to be an epic final stand for the Netherlands. And now the Spanish are being sent up. See these guys getting the first volley in. But now the Spaniards going to be forming up their lines. And maybe shooting them from a distance. Right now they are reloading. So once they do get their volleys in, they will unleash hell. But it looks like the line of infantry are going to unleash hell before them. And these guys just taking a... man, alright, so down to 44 men. Not too sure where the rest of his unit is. They are all the way back here, stuck behind a house. Very interesting to see that. But the Netherlands not looking too bad right now. Swedish lines reforming. Looks like they're just slightly out of range or out of ammunition. Not too sure. But the final engagement has begun. looks like the lifeguards afoot going to try and flank around the Netherlands. But just not looking good. They hold the hill. They hold pretty much every advantage possible. Morale, stamina, everything. So now the lifeguards afoot formed up. And with that volley, morale has dropped significantly. And just like that, there goes one unit down to the last 2 units. These guys are taking a brutal beating. And then down to the final unit. So just like that, these units are gone from the battlefields. And once again, another charge. But these guys are unable to make it. Very, very close game though. It seems like if the the Netherlands, if their general survives, things would have been much, much different. So taking a look at the kills, Sledge on top with 1,700 kills. And then the Spanish player, 1,200 kills. As for the enemy players, the Russians, 1,100, and the Netherlands with 700. So definitely the Netherlands did cause a lot of misfortune, you can say. They weren't up to par in the game. But anyways, it was a very, very good match. Taking a look at the unit statistics, though, light infantry on top of 218 kills. And then the lifeguard afoot just behind that. So anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to join my Steam group and also my Discord for any information on future videos or replays. And that is pretty much it. So anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys later.